Good morning. This is Jack Tighe. I'm the chairman of the Finance and Budget Committee of the Board of Trustees, and I would like to welcome you to today's meeting. This meeting has been duly advertised as a public meeting in accordance with the Sunshine Act and is therefore open to members of the public as observers. A quorum is present for the transaction of business. Participation in the meeting is limited to members of the Finance and Budget Committee and those the committee has invited in advance to take part. This remote meeting is being streamed on YouTube and is also being recorded. The recording will be made available via the Board of Trustees website at a later date. Our first order of business today is the approval of the minutes of the July 12th, 2024 public meeting of the Finance and Budget Committee, which were circulated in advance of today's meeting and are included in your meeting materials. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
are there any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. The minutes are approved. Our next item is a resolution recommending approval of the fiscal year 2026 operating and capital budgets. The action item on today's agenda is a recommendation that the Finance and Budget Committee of the Board of Trustees recommend approval to the university's fiscal year 2026 operating budget and capital budget to the full Board of Trustees for review and approval. A copy of the resolution before the Finance and Budget Committee was circulated to the committee in advance of today's meeting. Before I call on Dwayne Pinckney, I would just like to say how much we appreciate the leadership of our former chair, Larry Merlo, through this process, and to all the committee members who spent an inordinate amount of time arriving at this point. At this point, I'd like to call on Dwayne Pinckney, Executive Senior Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance and Chief Financial Officer, to provide an overview of the fiscal year 2026 proposed operating budget and proposed capital budget.
Thank you, Chairperson Tighe. I want to thank you, Trustee Emeritus Larry Merlo, and all the members of the Finance and Budget Committee for their leadership and guidance in helping to build this year's budget. I want to recognize the University Planning and Budget Committee, whose members include faculty, staff, and student representatives. They helped to shape this budget as part of our commitment to the shared governance process. Finally, I want to thank the members of my team who helped to prepare these materials and work throughout the year with partners across the university on these critical financial matters. In the wake of much uncertainty, this budget demonstrates our dedication to academic excellence, research leadership, fiscal responsibility, and community support. The University of Pittsburgh's proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2026 is $3.2 billion. This budget reflects Pitt's continued investment in academic excellence, research capacity, and student success. This budget includes a projected research base for fiscal year 2026 of $1.2 billion. We recognize we are operating in a dynamic environment, and we are prepared to be flexible. At the same time, we want to continue to support the dynamic research that takes place at Pitt, which enables us to attract top students and faculty and expand our partnerships with industry and government. Our proposed capital budget of $267 million is primarily focused on preserving and maintaining our existing campus infrastructure and completing construction projects already in progress. Now, let me turn to tuition for the 25-26 academic year. Pitt's tuition rates are designed to ensure the university continues to deliver an exceptional educational experience while balancing the needs of students and their families. As a result, The proposed budget includes the following tuition rate increases for the next academic year. Tuition will increase by 2% for in-state undergraduate and graduate students. Out-of-state undergraduate and graduate students will see a 4% increase in tuition. After holding tuition flat for the past 2 years, there will be a 1% increase in tuition at the regional campuses. In support of educational affordability, this budget proposes nearly $315 million in financial aid to students and their families, an amount that has increased by nearly 30% since 2020. More than half of all students, in-state and out-of-state, receive financial aid. For Pennsylvania students, that aid is over and above the in-state tuition discount. This support, I should say, enables nearly half of Pitt students to graduate from the university debt-free. Reflecting competitive market rates and inflation, the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget also reflects increases in housing rates, which will go up by an average of 6.7%, and meal plans will increase by an average of 4% on the Pittsburgh campus. Students can expect to see mandatory fee increases in the areas of transportation, wellness, and technology. This reflects student needs and the cost of delivering these improved and essential services to support student success and well-being. In recognition of their dedication and hard work, the proposed budget recommends a 2.5% salary increase for our unionized faculty and non-unionized faculty and staff members. This reflects the university's desire to continue to attract and retain top talent and be an employer of choice. Reflecting our focus on managing costs while maintaining high-quality education standards, we are transitioning from a hiring freeze to a controlled hiring process that is focused on strategic staffing priorities. We also will be collaborating with our responsibility centers to reallocate budget resources to align with Pitt's strategic goals. I want to close by again thanking the Pitt community for its commitment to shared governance, and I want to express my appreciation to the Finance and Budget Committee and this Board of Trustees for tackling the many challenges associated with this year's budget. I believe our fiscal year 2026 operating and capital budgets reflect our commitment to students, as well as to our dedicated faculty and staff, as we continue to focus on the mission and the strategic goals outlined in the plan for Pitt. Thank you, Chairperson Tighe.
Thank you, Dwayne, for that report. We'll have time for questions, but I think at this point I'd entertain a motion in a second to approve the resolution. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved in second, and at this point I will open up for any questions or discussion.
Chairperson, I had a
Lisa.
question.
Yes,
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Yes, Mr. Pinckney, I just had a question on where does this put us in position to our peers as far as the increases in tuition and also room and board?
Yes, thank you. So our tuition rate increases, tuition and fee increases are in line with our peers. We track that carefully, and they certainly reflect the value and quality of Pitt education. But we are kind of right squarely in line with our peers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chair, maybe I'll just ask a general question, which is, as we think about this budget, how are we seeing, if any, impact in the current climate on enrollment and in the application process today? What are we seeing?
Yes, thank you for that question. We are seeing, as indicated by our applications, that demand to attend the University of Pittsburgh remains very high. As you know, we're expecting a record number of first-year students to come to campus this fall. We expect about 60% of those will be from Pennsylvania, with the rest being from out of state. So I think that based on our applications, based on deposits paid, based on the size of the first year class, pretty clear evidence that demand for a Pitt education remains very, very high, very strong.
Majdi?
Yeah, along the same question, have we seen an impact on graduate student or international student enrollment due to the federal policy changes?
Yeah, so our graduate student enrollments returned to pre-COVID levels last year. And looking ahead to the fall, we're projecting that we'll maintain that level of enrollment. Your question obviously brings up a lot of the issues around funding and graduate enrollment more generally. Graduate enrollments have been a challenge, not just at Pitt, but across the country. But we did return to pre-COVID levels last year, which is a sign of strength and improvement and stability. And we expect that same level of enrollment for this fall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John?
Yeah, hey, Dwayne, I always like to view these tuition increases in context and relative to the inflation rate, the higher education inflation index. And my recollection is, at least in recent years, we have certainly been below the line, below the rate of inflation if you go back in recent years. Is that still going to be true?
Yeah, that will still be true. We are continuing to, when you could adjust for inflation for our in-state students, we continue on that trend of being below the rate of inflation. We've been slightly above the rate of inflation when you adjust for out-of-state students. That will likely continue, but we're not talking about a wild variance from the rate of inflation for our out-of-state students, but we have been slightly above, and we continue to see those. We expect that trend will continue with these increases.
Are there any other questions?
Jack, if I may,
Yes.
thank you. Also asked Dwayne, you spoke to the tuition increases for out-of-state and in-state and 1% for regional campuses. Can you say more about what is taking place on regional campuses and how are our regional campuses doing?
Yeah, our regional campuses, of course, you know that regional campuses around the country have experienced a significant challenge in the last 10 years or more. We are not immune from those challenges. Our enrollments, however, have stabilized on our regional campuses by and large. And with respect to pricing, we are, I think, in a somewhat competitive place or space in the moment, in that our regional campuses competitors have increased tuition above our regional campuses. In some cases, community college increases have been above and beyond our regional campuses. And so we've had some pricing capacity, hence the 1% proposal for a 1% increase. So with the stability in enrollment and that pricing capacity, we think that we have experienced some health with our regional campuses in that sector, and we'll continue to support the regional campuses in that regard. They have been exceptional partners in working to control their cost, manage their cost. And so by and large, I would say that the regional campuses are in a good place. They're healthy with stabilizing enrollments and also very positioned well with respect to their pricing.
Thank you.
I see no other questions, so at this point, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of adopting the resolution and presenting this to the Board of Trustees signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, thank you all. The resolution is approved. At this point, we'll move to additional business. Is there any additional business to be brought before the committee? Hearing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.